Doubleheader. Now I've been cursed to play a second game, Castlevania Bloodlines, on the Sega Genesis, which I have it on the Sega Genesis collection. Of course, the Castlevania collection on the Nintendo Switch, which is how I've been playing all these Castlevania games. All right, let's get this over with. Let's deep dive into Castlevania Bloodlines. So as per usual, get yourself a beverage, sit back, relax. And let's do it and end this curse once and for all. Yep, that is definitely blood, for sure. Castlevania Bloodlines came out in 1994 for the Sega Genesis, which is another game that coincides with Super Castlevania on the Super Nintendo, which also came out on the Super Nintendo, was Dracula X. We're not going to talk about Dracula X, though. I was waiting for him to come through the door again. Maybe interrupt me and give me a third one. I better not say that anymore, or he might do it. But in this Castlevania game, the Belmonts are nowhere to be found. Yeah, no Belmonts in sight. In fact, Dracula does come back, but he's basically been dead and defeated by the Belmont family. Now you have his niece, Elizabeth Bartley, into play, trying to resurrect her uncle, Count Dracula. And this game actually takes a little bit from the novelizations. You know, Quincy Morris is now tied into the Belmont family, and now his son John Morris is picking up the vampire killer whip. Joining him is Eric Lecard, who takes up the Alucard spear. So you get two characters to play in this game. One has the whip, one has the spear. Two different dynamic playing styles, which is actually pretty refreshing for a Castlevania game. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, had the partner mechanic system where you had Cypher Belnades, Grand Dynasty, Alucard in there. So you can switch between the two characters within the gameplay. And I really wish they took notes with that one with this one, because it would have been really cool to switch between two characters while playing. But the only way you can change your character is if you get game over and you get to continue, then you can pick your other character. Why don't you take notes from Castlevania 3, guys? Come on. Let me switch characters in the middle of the game. Made more sense. Probably make things easier for me, because each character has a different, unique style. You know, one who does the whip can't whip in 8 all directions, but he can whip diagonally and swing with it off of stuff. That's pretty cool, I guess. And then Eric Lecard got the spear. Pretty good range. Could jab it up in different directions. You know, he has a super jump, like you do in Super Mario 2. It's pretty awesome. I like it. I like this game a lot, actually. Castlevania Bloodlines is actually pretty easy, too, when you think about it, because it's not that hard. There's only 6 stages in here, and you start at Castlevania in Transylvania. Say that 3 times fast. And you go through Dracula's castle, which is the remains of his castle. You go through there, and the next thing you start exploring Europe. You're going to Greece, you're going to Rome, Tower of Pisa, and continuing on through Europe, defeating villainous bad guys throughout the area. And there's different things. You still got mummies, you still got skeletons, you got bats to deal with, Medusa heads, godforsaken Medusa heads. I swear, man, they always give you a hard time. And they give you a hard time in this one in little bit sporadic areas with this game. But overall, the gameplay experience is pretty good. It's really good. Hearts are not in this game, actually. You pick up some jewel items to use as sub-weapon ammunition. You got your classic sub-weapons back. But then you get special abilities with these sub-weapons, too, by pushing up and the sub-weapon button. It does a higher power attack. I like that, especially when you use it with the holy water. That's really great. And the axes, man, beautiful. Just amazing. And there's a little bit more gore factor to this one, too, because, again, Sega Genesis. Mortal Kombat was a hit with the Sega Genesis. There's gore in there. And this one, yeah, Zombies explode, they burst, and there's guts everywhere. There's this hound monster in Dracula's castle that is pretty gruesome looking too whenever you defeat it. Oh, it's gory as all get out. Bloodlines, yeah, when it talks about blood, there is for sure blood in this game. And it's a good old time too. And wall meets back, of course. You crack open a wall. It's kind of scarce a little bit in this one, but it's there. Yep, that good old dirty, disgusting pot roast hiding behind a wall. It's still there. And it's good to see some of the classic stuff from the other Castlevania games. And the 16-bit graphics, that Genesis sounding twang that you got, man. Ooh, it's so good. The music in this is really good too. Like I said, Castlevania music has always been fantastic overall. And again, this game is really, really good. It's really good. So where did I end with this one? I got to the final level, actually, on this one, which is a miracle, but I couldn't get to the final boss. Yeah, there's no way I can get to Elizabeth Bartley and fight her off and fight off Dracula's resurrection, you know, and defeating him once again and put him into his grave. So, but yeah. Ultimately, this game is really good. The Tower of Pisa boss battle sucks. It's probably like the worst one for me. But when you get past that and you start exploring all the other areas, I mean, it does get harder as you go, but it's more of a trial and error type of hard. I mean, all Castlevania games are like that. It's trial and error overall when it comes to this series. So really, this game is good. It's fantastic. I think this one, if you compare it to Super Castlevania, if you take the controls, the perfect controls to Super Castlevania, and you took it over to Bloodlines, dude, I think Bloodlines would be the more superior game. Personally, I play Bloodlines a lot more when it comes to the Castlevania series. There's just something about it, and I think it's because I grew up on the Sega Genesis. I think that's what it is. It's that Sega Genesis factor that gives you that feel-good feeling that, man, you're playing a Sega Genesis game. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. I can't believe it. I thought for sure Castlevania Bloodlines was going to break him and destroy him. I have failed. Every year he continues to endure. He continues to play these games. But he actually enjoyed Bloodlines. You win this round. As promised, the curse is lifted. But be forewarned, AJ. I will continue to lurk in the shadows. And I will return when you least expect it. Did you hear that? The curse has been lifted. I'm free from this. Wait, he did say he was going to be lurking in the shadows. Gosh, dang it. I knew I should have slayed him when I had the chance. I just knew it, since he finally showed up here. I'll deal with him later. But the good news is we're free from the Castlevania curse. And next Halloween season, I think we'll take a look at the Bloodstained series. That's right. But that's for next season of Halloween. So with that being said, that's it for this week's episode. We'll be entering the world of Hyrule here pretty soon with Zelda month in November. And maybe another video or two here coming up. And of course the holidays around the corner. So as always, stay safe out there. Have a safe Halloween season. And take care.